Welcome to All Ears, the official podcast of the Cedar Rapids Kernels, presented by Miracle Ear. I'm your host and voice of the Kernels, Calvin Cristoforo. On the podcast, you'll hear from past and present Cedar Rapids baseball influencers, including players, managers, executives, insiders, and more.
Cedar Rapids Kernels, let the good times roll.
Back with Season 4, Episode 6 of the Kernels All Ear podcast, presented by Miracle Ear. We are live, we're in person, we're in the Kernels press box here at Veterans Memorial Stadium with the talk of Iowa baseball, Ty Langenberg. He joins us, the newest Kernel, who just made his Kernels debut a couple weeks ago. Pitcher from Iowa, went to Iowa, pitching professionally, now in Iowa. Ty, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I say you're the talk of the town in Iowa baseball, and you kind of laugh, but it's kind of true. I mean, you had everyone, your whole family here. You made your first start at Vets a couple of weeks ago now, and your whole family was here at the ballpark, right in front of the tunnel, going from the mound back to the dugout. You got a standing ovation 5 times because you pitched 5 innings. You left the mound 5 innings. You got 5 standing ovations.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I'll admit it was a lot of fun. It was definitely surreal though to be back in Iowa pitching, for a team, pitching for the Twins, I guess. But just to be back home was an incredible feeling. And obviously, I knew my parents and the family and friends would show out, and that just made it a lot of fun. Obviously, going out there and then coming back in after the first inning, there's a little, like stressful. You give up a couple of runs, but then to go out there and punch out the side in the second inning and then come off the field and look up and see, my entire family and friends just, giving me basically a standing ovation is pretty incredible. I mean, it made it really hard not to laugh. I joked with my buddies and parents a couple of times that, I tried my best not to crack a smile coming off the mound, but it's just, with all those people cheering you on, it's hard not to.
You were very stoic, but deep down you were smiling when you got 5 standing ovations walking off the mound. It was quite funny too after the game, because you had a swarm of people with you in the outfield, and you can probably tell this story better than I am, but your teammates are waiting for you for congratulations inside, and you're being swarmed by your family members outside.
Yeah, I mean, originally, after most games, my parents, at least family, show up. I try to give them some time, like, hey, like we'll meet down the line, give some hugs, congratulations, things like that. But obviously, with such a big group this last week, I was like, well, this is probably not, it's probably gonna go over the couple minutes that I would normally have before I get inside for the team meeting. But it was kind of just the way the night went and the events. I was just like, this is, a moment that I'm going to treasure for a long time. So I'm just going to, enjoy it, live in it. So we met all the way down the line. Fortunately, the Kernel staff was nice enough to let them on the field like that. We got a ton of pictures, which made it even more fun. And, it was just overall, it was really cool.
Typically when players have a visitor or two, they enter behind home plate. The Langenberg clan opened up the entire right field gate to go down and meet Ty in right field. It was really cool to watch from a bird's eye point of view. But let's talk about, your journey getting here. You're an Iowa guy. You're from Urbandale, which is outside of Des Moines, right? Just a couple hour and a half or so down the road from here.
Yeah. Hour 45. I mean, it's a straight shot from Iowa City, so it's not too much further, just up the road here in Cedar Rapids.
You grew up a Twins fan. What was baseball like for you growing up?
I mean, it's just, a little different than it is now. Obviously, growing up, being a Twins fan, I watched Joe Mauer all the time, and he was kind of the idol growing up. I mean, you'll look back and you'll see pictures. I wore the number 7 growing up because that's, ultimately, the guy I looked up to, and, that's kind of who I wanted to be growing up. Obviously when you're younger, you hit the ball too, and I was, like to think I was a pretty good, hitter too, and used to think I was going to do that, and then eventually, as I got older, I kind of realized, hey, I can kind of throw this little white ball pretty hard, pretty accurately. So it eventually evolved into, like looking towards, the dreams of playing, for the Iowa Hawkeyes in your home state, and luckily, one thing led to another, and I was lucky enough to, stay home, play for them, and then obviously, further down the road, here I am today.
How old were you when that bat got stripped out of your hands? Did it not go willingly? You wanted to keep hitting? What was that story?
I mean, I would have loved to keep hitting. It's one of those things where you're in high school, you're playing with your friends. It's way more fun to just be in every game like that. But it was actually as early as my freshman year of high school, pretty much. Freshman year, I got a couple at bats here and there. But I was pitching up on the sophomore team, getting some opportunities, and I knew that was kind of the time I realized, like, this is where I got to buy into the pitching aspect of things. So that's when I started taking it more seriously. And obviously, as I continue to, improve my pitching game, the hitting game just kind of slowly, just died out. And eventually, I think it was that the next season as a sophomore, they're like, you're going to be on varsity full time, but you're going to have to give up hitting, for good. And, at that point, I was like, well, like it sucks to give up hitting, but, you look back on it and you're like, that was a great opportunity for me to, to play with some older guys, a lot of guys that actually went on to play college, baseball or other sports alike. So it was just a really cool experience and obviously helped me get me where I am.
And I'm not from Iowa. Some of our listeners are from Iowa, some aren't. But high school baseball in Iowa, it's a little weird. You play in the summer, which is something that, being here for 2 years, even for me now, is hard to fathom because do the eighth graders play? Do the seniors play? Can you explain to us how high school baseball in Iowa works?
I mean, to go off the eighth grader, I mean, you will see a couple eighth graders here and there, but obviously, for me, coming from I guess one of the bigger schools in Iowa, Central Iowa, we didn't really see a whole lot of eighth graders playing up like that. But I mean, the seniors, obviously, it's it was just another baseball season for them. It's a little different. My senior year, like it's just a little bit weird where as a senior, you graduate a couple weeks earlier than everybody else. So you kind of give up your jabs to the younger guys, like, hey, like, how was school today kind of thing. But really, it was very normal. I don't think there were any like vibes ever that, like, oh, this guy's, way older than me. He's already graduated. Like, get him out of here. It was very, at least the culture when I was in high school was incredible. I had a lot of great guys, a lot of great teammates.
And I was a four sports. You could play four different sports, right? Because you could play in the fall, winter, spring, and summer.
Yep.
Did you play? How many sports did you play in high school?
I was mainly three. I played three at least up until I was a sophomore in high school. I was football in the fall, winter basketball, and obviously baseball like spring, summer. But as I kind of realized that the football dream was dying out and the baseball dream was really coming into play, I was like, all right, we're gonna stick to those two sports. We're kind of divide our time for those two things, and really, as soon as football season ended, you buy into baseball. You kind of got rid of the basketball aspects, and obviously, I like to think that helped me as well. But I owe a lot to football as well. I mean, there's a lot of things I learned playing football, especially with my brother, that definitely helped me, carry over into baseball too.
And you mentioned, you grew up in the state of Iowa, wanting to go to Iowa. Did you always want to play at Iowa? Because Iowa State, which is closer to you, doesn't have a D1 team.
Yep.
Did you always want to play at the University of Iowa?
I mean, yes. Obviously, growing up, your parents, like the entire household that I grew up in, was just a bunch of Hawkeye fans, and so that was always pretty much the dream. But growing up, you don't really realize that that's a thing. It just kind of seemed like this far fetched, literally a dream that you may or may not get there. And I don't think it really came into like my thoughts until I was a junior in high school when I realized like, hey, this is a real possibility. And I also knew, getting recruited, you gotta kind of play the recruitment game. You gotta bounce around, like talk to different schools. But frankly, for my recruitment, I literally played that game for a couple weeks, and then I was just kind of right there with Iowa the whole time. I mean, I heard from a couple other friends and coaches that went to, at different universities. They're like, yeah, we never really tried to recruit you because you were just talking to Iowa the whole time. We just assumed you were going to go there. So, obviously looking back, that's like, pretty funny, but it's a great feeling to just, end up there.
Yeah. So what was the Iowa recruitment like?
It was my freshman year of high school. I went out to the University of Iowa. I went up to Iowa City for a little showcase, a baseball showcase. And, I went out there, and I guess up until my freshman year, I had never really, thought about a radar gun. Like numbers didn't really matter to me. It was kind of results based. But I go out there and I top out at 88 miles an hour as, 14, 15-year-old kid. And of course, they've got some eyes on me. They're watching that happen. So I immediately start, kind of weekly or bi-weekly phone calls with the recruiting coordinator. And that pretty much carried out until my junior year. We switched, like during my recruitment, they switched out pitching coaches.
Okay.
And so that made it a little different, kind of like, oh, like the guy I was talking to for a year and a half just left. Like, how am I going to deal with this new guy? But the new guy came in and he was incredible. He just sold me on Iowa 100%. If I wasn't already sold 100%. and just made me very comfortable. And that's kind of, in my mind, like there was never really a doubt that I like wanted to go anywhere else. It was like I'm gonna make this happen. And luckily, the new pitching coach came in and saw the same thing as the previous guy. So very lucky.
When you got there, was it a dream come true for you?
100%. I mean, first day on campus. I mean, I would imagine my parents feel the same way. Showing up to campus, moving into the dorms, meeting a couple other baseball players, and my roommate that's also in pro ball now. I mean, it was just kind of a pretty surreal moment. And then, the first couple of days of practice, it's a little weird. You show up, you're the new guy, the young gun. You're trying to make a name for yourself, but also, don't step on your toes. But just trying to get comfortable, and great culture there, a lot of fun, made it very easy to fit in. And obviously 3 years down the line, I owe a lot to the University of Iowa and very thankful for my time.
Cedar Rapids Kernels, let the good times roll. Hey, Kernels. Hey, Kernels.
Hearing is important to living life to the fullest. That's why inside every Miracle Ear store, you'll find better laughs at family barbecues. You'll find a better life is in store at Miracle Ear when you experience the Miracle Ear exclusive advantage. It starts with our free hearing assessment, plus innovative products that will fit your needs and budget. With free service and adjustments for life, call 319-243-7105 to schedule a free hearing evaluation and find a better life in store. Our local Miracle Ear team is proud to support the Cedar Rapids Kernels.
Group outings are a great way to unwind and enjoy a night out, and we invite you to reach out to our group sales staff and see all the options we have.
Everybody knows when you're at the game, the good times roll. Hey, Kernels, let the good times roll. Cedar Rapids Kernels, let the good times roll.
Talking to Ty Langenberg on the Kernels All Your Podcast. This is season 4, episode number 6. One of the newest Kernels, right-handed pitcher from Iowa, played at Iowa, playing professionally, now in Iowa. First Iowa Hawkeye, to our research, since 1982 to wear a Cedar Rapids jersey. Jeff Jones, you can listen to on season, 4, episode, number 3, who has the Kernels and Midwest League all-time record, 42 home runs in one season in the Midwest League, Iowa alum. So Ty has some work to do to get in the record books like his fellow Hawkeye alumni. Also with a podcast. Go back and listen to that one. Then you can listen to this one. 2 Hawkeyes and 6 episodes of the Kernels All Your Podcast, presented as always by Miracle Ear. You said it was a great time, playing at the University of Iowa. What were some of your favorite experiences or moments while you were there?
Obviously, freshman year. I mean, we kind of got taken aback by the COVID restrictions. We were still dealing with that. My entire senior season of baseball. Luckily, we were still able to play it out, but COVID was still. We're kind of dealing with the effects my freshman year. So, conference only, just kind of reeling. Not a lot of innings to take. So realistically, not like a whole lot of memorable, opportunities there. But obviously, the next 2 years filled up with them. I mean, just being able to earn the starting role early on in the year and just kind of hold that behind Adam Mazer, a guy that's just, he's a big leaguer now. Just being able to watch that unfold. Just, kind of playing in the Big Ten tournament, my sophomore year, being able to make a start in that. And then the following year, just last year, being able to have a great outing in the Big Ten tournament, and then, continue to regional. I mean, those just playing in big moments like that to be some of my top memories there at the university. And, I was super fortunate that we had a great team, and I was able to be a part of a lot of success there. So
You played your first year in COVID. Second year, you pitched really well. When is the draft starting to circulate in your mind?
Frankly, it kind of came a lot earlier than I thought. After my sophomore season at Iowa, I went out to play in the Cape Cod League out there in Massachusetts, and had a lot of success out there. And obviously, while you're out there, you're with pretty much the best of the best from around the nation. A lot of great players, and obviously, with those great players comes a lot of scouting. And that was kind of when I got my first taste of the draft, at least. Talking to some scouts, talking to some advisors and agents, things like that. So it was kind of my first taste of it. And then really once I got back in the fall, my junior year, that was when things really kicked up. I did a lot of interviews with scouts and things. And, that was kind of the moments, like a couple of those interviews afterwards, I kind of realized like, hey, this is, a real possibility for you. And it kind of, it hit me like a truck a little bit. I kind of take a step back and be like, wow, like, this really could be a dream come true, as long as we can, stick it out, keep on keeping on through the next season. And obviously we were able to do that, didn't quite fall off the horse, which is good. So
yeah. How hard was that for you though, to keep that in the back of your mind as you're trying to just compete and win for your team in that junior season?
I mean, I think in the moment it's easy to push it to the back of your mind. I think once you get in season, I think it's definitely hard starting the season. And I think you could kind of see that a little bit with me. I went out there and struggled for my first couple of starts. I got the Friday roll and was feeling really good about myself, but it was kind of, I guess you could say the pressure got to me. It was a lot of, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress with that. And after I kind of, faltered a little bit, it took me, a week or two to kind of get back on the horse. But that was when I had to push, the expectations behind me and just look at, moving forward, the season that we wanted to have, the season I wanted to have myself too, and just kind of, put all the eggs in one basket, go out there every week and go get it. And obviously, turn the season around and had a lot of success making a regional and Big Ten tournament, things like that. So
season comes to an end. You got like month between end of the year and the draft. What was that time period like for you?
If I'm being honest, it was pretty smooth. It was definitely not what I expected. I was kind of expecting a lot more interviews, a lot more attention after the season, frankly, because before the season even started, I was talking to a lot of scouts. And I just kind of assumed that's how it would be as you got close to the draft. There'd be more and more conversations had, like more and more questions asked, and it was very quiet to say the least. I kind of just went about my weeks, just continuing to throw, taking some family time away, but really like very few calls. And then obviously as we get close to the draft day, like I'm talking to my advisor and agent, and he's just kind of let me know, oh, here's what's going on. And then the day comes around, day 3, and I hadn't talked to the Twins in like months up to that point, and I didn't really think that they were even like an option for getting drafted by them. But sure enough, like day 3 comes around and see my name pop up, then the call rolls in right after I already see my name pop up.
Yeah, that's a crazy process. So you saw your name first before they called you. I mean, what was that like? You're like, wait a second, that's me.
It was, we kind of assumed it. We were like talking with my advisor before the day 3 draft. He's like, you're going to go today. Like I've talked to multiple teams. He basically told me like, hey, the Braves are going to take you with their 11th round pick if you're not already gone by then. For me, I don't understand anything about the draft. So I was like a little confused by that, but I was like, okay, well, at least like I'm going to go to the Braves at the very least. And then, so we were just kind of biding our time until that came up. And then I think, pretty early into the round, obviously the Twins had their pick up, and, the draft, day 3 is a little weird. They just kind of, the name pops up, they say your name, they kind of shuffle it on very quickly. So it was kind of like, hold on, like that's my name. And then, my phone starts ringing 2 seconds later. And, the scout calls me, lets me know, hey, like, congratulations, like, can't wait to have you down there in Fort Myers to get working with you. So,
and it must have been a crazy full circle moment for someone that grew up as a Twins fan to be talking to a Twins scout on the other side of that phone call.
It was surreal. I mean, I know my brother took a video of me like as I was getting the phone call, and I was just grinning ear to ear. It was just an incredible, like, couldn't believe it was happening. Like, didn't really know what to say. I just like said thank you a million times to the guy, and was like, couldn't really believe it. And after we got off the phone, it was kind of like high fives, hugs all around, like very cool. Just kind of like finally take a deep breath, like realize, this is a step in the right direction, and we're just, extremely excited to be where we're at.
And your family doesn't have to buy all new gear. You got Twins gear, so you can just keep wearing the Twins gear you got. But for you,
exactly,
you're issued a lot of brand new Twins gear. What was it like for you to put on Twins gear as a professional, as a Minnesota Twin product?
It was an incredible feeling. Obviously, right after the draft, they shipped us out down to Fort Myers to the complex. And while I was down there, we show up for the first day, and you get a look at your locker in the locker room. It's got the Twins hat, the Twins attire, and everything. And of course, I had to take a step back, like take a picture, send it to my parents, because it's something, like I never thought I would really be in, this situation. I never thought I'd have this opportunity. And just to like sit there and look at it, see it for the first time was incredible. And obviously, it took a little bit getting used to. You kind of like you keep double checking to make sure, it's still there. But obviously, after time goes on, you kind of realize like, hey, like I'm actually here, and it's time to get to work again. So
you can be honest with us, but when in that process did it cross your mind that, hey, the Twins have an affiliate in Iowa?
I honestly didn't really put that together until a couple of days after the draft happened. I was kind of thinking about it, and obviously we were still like me, my family, friends, we're all still caught up in like just the fact that it's a dream come true to actually get drafted and go play professional baseball. But then somebody, I forget who it was, they finally mentioned like, hey, there's the High affiliate is in Cedar Rapids, like literally 20 minutes from campus. Like, how do you feel about that? And I was like, oh, didn't really know that was a thing. But obviously, once I got down there and once I got a couple opportunities with the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles at the end of the year last year, I kind of like realized like that is the next step, for me. And that was just kind of like really cool to realize. But obviously, you got to have some success down there to make it here. So it's kind of like, okay, I need to lock it in to make sure I can give myself an opportunity to be there.
Stay connected with the Cedar Rapids Kernels all year long by following the Kernels on social media. Catch up with the Kernels on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at CR Kernel.
You went to school 20 minutes down the road. Did you ever come to a Kernels game as a fan?
I did actually my freshman year. I've told this story like 100 times already to the guys in the clubhouse.
Well, you can tell it one-on-one here on the Kernels All Year podcast, presented by Miracle Air, episode 6 of season 4.
Freshman year, I was dealing with some elbow issues. Decided not to go play summer ball anywhere, so just stayed back on campus with a couple other guys that were also just gonna stay back, work out, things like that. And we're like, one day we're like, all right, might as well go, check out a Kernels game. I don't remember too much from that. We showed up, we watched like 5 innings, then we left. So I couldn't tell you if any, big leaguers were on that team when I went and saw, but at that time as a freshman, I think the more, in my mind, I was like, I'm just, fingers crossed that I can go out there someday and play for the Iowa Hawkeyes consistently. And I don't think it ever crossed my mind that like, professional baseball would be in my future. It was just like, oh, we're going to go see, another professional baseball game, because living close to Principal Park and the AAA Cubs, I've been down there a couple times. So in my mind, it wasn't super special, but obviously looking back on it now, it's pretty special.
And they don't let you leave after 5 innings now when you're on the team.
No, they don't.
Talking to Ty Langenberg here on the Kernels All Year podcast of season number 4, episode number 6. So let's start now at the beginning of this year. You're back with Fort Myers where you ended last year. Talk about some of the success you had down there to begin this year.
I mean, obviously right away it wasn't a whole lot of success. Right out of the gate, even at the end of the year last year, I kind of realized like this is a big adjustment from Division I baseball. You're basically facing, like the best of the best again. And so I kind of, had to take a step back. We had to kind of rework my arsenal, like do some new pitch grips, work on some mechanics. So the first couple of starts, I gave up like 5 runs in the first three out of my first 4 starts, I gave up 5 runs. And then after we made those adjustments, I kind of figured out like, basically telling myself, you need to learn how to be a pitcher, not a thrower. And just kind of using the arsenal and mechanical changes, we finally put those together. And obviously that, saw the results, the success, building over those last 5 weeks.
Talk to me about your promotion. You had that success in Fort Myers. How did you learn? Who told you? How did that all go down?
So in Fort Myers, our manager, Brian Meyer, he usually Sunday is like the day that guys get promoted on. So every Sunday, everybody kind of like holds their breath if Brian's gonna be like, and I got one more thing after he has like his speech post game. And of course, we had a couple guys that were on rehab assignment with us. And he was, of course, he said, "Oh, I got one more thing." And he was like, "Congratulations to Camargo for being promoted back to, his affiliate. for Corey Lewis going back to his affiliate, and then he's like, "Congratulations to Ty Langenberg! Like, start playing that home sweet home music." And of course, everybody's like, "Hey, like, congratulations!" A lot of high fives, a lot of hugs following that. But it was a really kind of slick way to bring it up, which is really cool for me.
You talked about some of the adjustments you made at the beginning of this year and the end of last year, going from college to Fort Myers. What have you seen different from the Fort Myers single A level to the high A level here at Cedar Rapids? 2 starts in.
2 starts in, the biggest thing is probably the chase rates. I mean, obviously in Fort Myers, I felt like I could go out there and I could miss by a decent amount and still get some swing and miss, or at least, like get a chase, something like that. But here, through 2 starts, I feel like I'll throw a couple good pitches, good sliders off the plate, good cutters off the plate, or good changeups below the zone. And it'll just be stone cold takes from these guys. And I'm kind of sitting there in the back of my mind, like, dang, that was a really good pitch. Like, you should have swung at that. So that's the biggest thing, the biggest change. And obviously you got to keep pounding the zone to kind of produce those swing and miss. I would say like the last 2 starts, that's something I can continue to work on, just being more around the zone. But moving forward, I mean, the biggest thing I think is definitely being competitive enough to, be able to go to that uncompetitive swing and miss pitch and get a chase on it. So.
Well, 2-0 to begin his Kernels career, too. So it's not like the adjustment's been too big for him because he's won both of his first 2 starts. As we wrap up here, besides promotion and, keep going up the ladder, what are some goals for you here as you finish out this season?
I mean, the main goal is just to continue to go out there, put up zeros. I mean, as a starter, me personally, at least, my goal is to go out there and eat up innings. I mean, that's at the end of the day, like, I want to eat up at least 5 innings of the game. Obviously, hopefully put up zeros, but realistically, I want to go out there, give our team a chance to win. I think, putting up zeros, eating up innings is the best way to do that. At least save the relievers a little bit, save the bullpen. So that's really the main goal, is just kind of find a groove here, finish out the season strong. Obviously, I'd love to get promoted, but realistically, I know that I need to make a couple more adjustments while I'm here and have some more success. And, I think, just like I mentioned, just being around the zone more, being more competitive, and, just kind of moving forward, I'd, just love to have a strong finish to the season.
Anything you're looking forward to throughout the rest of the year?
Being home, being able to go home. Obviously, being 2 hours down the road from, my hometown and family and friends like that, I'm definitely looking forward to going to see them a couple times the off day. And obviously, looking forward to every home start. Hopefully to have a pretty big crowd. Probably not the same crowd that I had this, first start, but I'd imagine it'd be pretty good for most of those starts. So I'm really excited to see, family and friends show up and, just kind of feel like it's another start at the University of Iowa, really.
Absolutely. Well, we thank you for your time here on the Kernels All Year Podcast, season number 4, episode number 6. Kernel starter Ty Langenberg. Thanks, Ty.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time.
Invisible Hearing Solutions for ultimate discretion. Miracle Ear is here to help, so you can find a personalized solution that fits your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Miracle Ear has over 70 years of expertise and over 1,500 stores nationwide. Make a sound decision. Call 1-800-MIRACLE now and book your free hearing evaluation.
Your local Miracle Ear team is proud to support your Cedar Rapids Kernels. Enjoy the game.